Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to go over two different stories dealing with husbands who find out that their wives, either in the past or in the present, were involved with the adult entertainment industry. And this is a perfect example, guys, of how you need to really do your homework, not just about your girl's past, but also her present. The first story comes from a friend who shares how he and his other buddy discovered their friend's wife was in that line of work behind the scenes, and how they broke it to him and what they did, and how it didn't end very well for her in the end. And the second story is about a guy who discovered his wife in the past. Not only just did it on the side, I'm talking full blown, and obviously how he's ranting and raving on Reddit. And again, guys, like I said, this goes to show you must do your homework, who you get involved with, and justifies really digging around, doing your due diligence, and sometimes looking at messages and phones and computers and all that, listening to conversations, because you just never know what goes on in today's world and how easy it is for gals to get in that line of work with the OnlyFans or whatever. So the first one, this was sent in from a subscriber. He says here, "Hey SSM. This story is not of my travels as an RN. I still have so many more to tell, but this is what happened to a buddy of mine in my friend group a few years ago. Zach has been my best friend for years, and John was part of our same friend group. While Zach and I were tight, John was never a close friend of mine, more of an acquaintance, and we hung out from time to time. Well, John had been married to Jessica for 3 years." Was that really her name or a code name? If that was really her name, that would just make my point. All the Jessicas, they're crazy. "For the most part, he thought he was in a good marriage. He would occasionally complain about the lack of enthusiasm in the bedroom and how she would never agree to backdoor action. But it was the usual married guy talk, so he didn't think much about it." So already, her name's Jessica. She's a nurse. And he is being denied certain activities. I'm sure it goes beyond the backdoor stuff in the bedroom. Wouldn't it be something if good old Jessica was engaging in all that and more, someplace else with somebody else? Well, Jessica worked at the hospital in the HR department. Oh, God, it makes it even worse. She was a quite quiet, average-looking girl who flew to Los Angeles 3 or 4 times a year for what she called modeling work. I always found it hard to believe, but I kept my doubts to myself. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be embarrassed to be seen with her in public, but I wouldn't exactly be showing her off either. So, modeling work, Los Angeles. Okay, modeling work happens in Los Angeles, but don't you think this husband probably, if he had a brain, let's see, where's it going to? Where are the pictures? Where is it for commercials? Is it for magazines? Is it for online ads? Let's see some of this. I have to wonder if he asked that question or just, Well, then one night, Zach called me. His voice was quite serious. He said, "You're never going to believe this." He sent me a link, and sure enough, it was Jessica. She was getting spit roasted by 2 well-endowed guys, both packing at least probably about 8 inches, going at her relentlessly in every location. Making my point, well, you do your homework, who you're involved with. So obviously this modeling agency, that was their cover. But what they really were was, this poor guy. But again, you got to do your homework. And notice he said that she was just average looking, but they probably have to pay her a whole lot. That was just one video. Zach had found dozens more. In the ones I watched, she was taking it in every location and seemed way more enthusiastic than John ever described, including taking, I'm going to watch what I say here, love juice all over her face and swallowing it like it was sacrament. And she was denying all sorts of freaky shit to her husband. Me and Zach were floored. Zach was torn on what to do. We both knew we had to tell John, but he waited a few weeks until Jessica was gone for another one of her modeling trips. That's one of those scenarios, guys, that, really you can be damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you reveal the information to your buddy, which of course you should, You know, a lot of guys will associate you with the pain and the suffering and all the turmoil that comes from that with you, and that could ruin your friendship. If you don't tell him, then you're the jerk that knows and doesn't say anything. But always tell him. Well, since Zach works at a tax agency and regularly deals with couples going through divorces and taxes, he knew a few divorce lawyers. He called into favor and got some advice on how to handle this. Well, Zach's a good buddy. The day John dropped Jessica off at the airport, Zach was waiting at his house with his divorce attorney friend. Is the divorce attorney, is the meter running when he's there waiting for him? When John saw the videos, he completely broke down. The woman he loved had been giving to strangers what she refused to give to him. Well, yeah, that would bother me too, but let's just also the fact that she has been for all this time engaging in all that, and she's all over the internet. I mean, you want to talk about absolutely humiliating on all fronts. And I know, yeah, denying him the backdoor love, and he was so craving. This is what happens, guys. Happens a lot in today's world, especially, it may not be a professional outfit that the wives go to Los Angeles, wherever, or just they find out that their wives or girlfriends are conducting this while they're away in their own bedroom for OnlyFans or whatever the hell it is nowadays. Well, the lawyer presented an option that I'd never heard of before. He suggested offering Jessica an NDA. She would agree to take no alimony and no equity in the house, and in return, John would agree not to tell anybody in her family or friends, and not her job, what she had been doing in LA. If word got out, she'd likely lose her middle management job at the hospital, and her very religious family would excommunicate her. Well, there you go. Now, I guess some people might say that he's also twisting in some blackmail there. But here's the thing. Even if she signed this and he went through this option, which would be great because, hey, he keeps the house and doesn't pay any alimony, it's only a matter of time if somebody else discovers the videos. I mean, your buddy Zach, you found it. What's to say that somebody else won't find it? But maybe she won't think that far. I would agree with this option. Sooner or later, it's going to get out. Well, she signed the NDA almost immediately. The divorce went through fast and clean. To everybody else, they simply said they grew apart. It says here, I'll skip the Jessica meltdown part, as it was the same pathetic story you hear every time a wife gets caught. Crying, playing the victim, and begging. Dude, you could have at least given us a minute of that. We all love that part. But okay. Well, as you can imagine, John hated the deal. He wanted her to suffer publicly, but his lawyer warned him that dragging her through the court could backfire. I don't blame the guy, but if he got the house and no alimony, and it's only a matter of time. He risked losing part of the house, equity, and possibly having to pay her alimony. So even though it ate him, John agreed to the NDA. Still, it did not sit right with him. He hated having to lie and say they grew apart, while Jessica walked away without any real social consequences. Well, that is when Zach got involved with the finances. Being a tax guy, he started digging through their bank statements and tax returns with John. What they found was pretty wild. Here we go. You can't hide things from an accountant. Well, Jessica had been getting paid by check from generic-sounding company name that sounded like a legitimate modeling or talent agency. Nothing about the check would make you think it was PORN. She had been depositing those checks regularly for years, but she was only reporting a small fraction of that money on her tax returns, and they did not file jointly. Uh-oh, she's screwed. Now, here's a question, and I got to ask. Wouldn't the modeling agency be recording all that and sending her a W-2? She gets a W-2. The IRS gets a W-2. Unless they were 1099ing her, which they were just giving her a check for the full amount, and she was responsible for, reporting everything to the feds. Maybe that was the case. But if she's depositing these checks in the bank accounts, which there's a trail, and you guys get the point here. How stupid is that? But it's not like these people that do this stuff are necessarily the smartest people. She's screwed. Well, Zach knew instantly what to look for, and it didn't take long for them to put the whole picture together. Somehow, some way, and nobody knows how, the IRS got tipped off about her unreported income. A few months later, Jessica got absolutely hammered with an audit. She ended up owing tens of thousands of dollars in back taxes, plus massive penalties and interest. The end. Bro, how the fuck can you just like that? You know, this is good, but okay, fine. I guess, yeah, she's screwed. I'm sure word got around the campfire about what happened to her with the feds and all that, but still, could have had a little more details there, but all right. So, guys, there you go. Justice is served. Our guy got away with not having to pay alimony and keeping the house, and Uncle Sam came after her because she was a dumbass. That's good, and obviously I'm sure it got out eventually about the other things, but the point is, for God's sakes, I don't know if she was doing this before the marriage. I'm sure she was doing a lot before the marriage, but for God's sakes, do your homework who you get involved with before and during. And these sudden trips, he never ever went out with her to Los Angeles, or never again looked for evidence of her model. I mean, seriously, I'm sure that most of you, just by caring about your girlfriend or wife, would be like, you're doing modeling? That's great. Let's see. Not just because you're checking up on her, because you just want to see. That didn't happen, so that's bizarre, but okay. Unless they even went that far to have covers, like she showed examples and stuff like that. I don't know. Okay, next one. This is from the Reddit post about a guy who, and this guy, you can tell upon finding out all this thing, has in many ways kind of lost his mind. But again, that would do that to me too. The title of this Reddit story is, I found out that I married a long-term amateur PORN star. He says, I mean, she must be a star if the words queen of such and such is part of her stage title. You don't get to be a queen of anything unless you do something really well. You're on top of your game, your fans adore you, and if you're in the entertainment industry, you're probably in high demand and making top dollar for your performances. Okay, guys, place your bets. What is she the queen of? The queen of BJ's? The queen of the back door? The queen of girl on girl? I want to know. So I discovered this juicy tidbit after a couple of years of doing research on her, and had already found a fairly decent amount of her PORN work. But it wasn't all spicy material that she did and hid behind my back. She also did adult modeling, where she would post her nude pictures and semi-nude photos on social media sites like Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. Come to think of it, it was probably on Twitter where I eventually discovered and verified that yes, my wife did lie to me. Again, why you gotta do your homework, guys. But we're not talking about a white lie or even a regular lie that is meant to protect someone from getting hurt if the truth is told. No, she pretty much hid a whole other part of her life from me and tried to keep it a secret. Well, the truth does always come out eventually. A secret that would include live camming, selling her used panties to perv fans. I even discovered that she had her own vehicle where she would sell things like lingerie, her own website where she sold things like lingerie and adult toys. You wouldn't believe what fucking guys buy. I saw a while back about girls that were, passing gas into some kind of container, and these gals were selling that. I'm sure it probably wasn't her gas. It was probably from the fucking, a piece of crap in there or something from the dog or the cat or something like that. Or Tyrone, I don't know. At least it looked as if she was independent and not working for a bunch of adult entertainment studios. Oh, well, that makes things better. So, in other words, she was doing probably something like OnlyFans or equivalent to that. Well, that's good, I guess. Good for her. This is because I would have been nice if someone, somewhere before the day we got married, she'd take me to a romantic date, and maybe around the time I'm enjoying my dinner, she would lean over and giggle a little bit and say, honey, you won't believe this, but... And honestly, if that had actually taken place, I didn't know that I would have left right then and there. I would truly depend on how she would sell it to me, because I consider myself a liberal and open-minded person when it comes to SCX. Smack! Really, you're so liberal that you'd be okay, maybe stay with her if she told you about the porn beforehand? This is probably why she married you, because you're easy. You gotta do your homework, guys, and who you get involved with. There's really not much that I would frown upon what two consensual adults do behind closed doors. Oh, that's right. She did have one teeny tiny problem that probably prevented her from informing me. Her work included not only effing other men on film, she also effed them for cash as an escort. To be clear, the last part will be difficult to prove in court someday. Okay, so in other words, he's basically saying that he'll be divorcing her. Oh yes, she was an escort. Are you telling me that he wouldn't have cared? Is he trying to say that he wouldn't have cared as much if she told him, being the big liberal and all, that she used to engage in that line of work. At least it was in the past. I'd have a big problem with that. How do you think that's going to go with your future? As the truth be told, she was smart and made it difficult for people to recognize her by never showing her face in any of her content. But there's so much of it, I figured that with the assistance of a private investigator to make my findings official. I wouldn't run into any problems in court. I shouldn't have had any problems with the discovery that she was known as a queen. You see, that part of her career supposedly spanned from around 1996 to around 2010, where she states in her bio that she made a staggering number of videos, and it appears that she slowed down production quite a bit by the 2010s. But as the queen character, she shows her face in all her videos. Well, how stupid is that? She was first hiding herself, and therefore nobody saw, but then she was showing herself. By the way, did I mention that she is the queen of something porn-related? She is engaged with all sorts of awful stuff referred to as smut. And he says, I'm going to skip this one part, but he says, how many of you can say that you've seen your spouse take not one but two hands, a baseball bat even, up her hoo-ha? Well, what's a tiny baseball bat compared to a huge slong, I guess, one way to look at it. I do apologize for making this long read for you, but there's more to my story than what I've told you here. I think we got the gist, my friend. There's a ton more about this complex and complicated queen of some perverted SCX act. I do need and want to get all off my chest, because all along she has, and continues to, done me foul and dirty, but I really have to save it for when we go to court. God damn, well, good, dude. I'm glad you're divorcing her, even though you're a liberal. And if you had known, because you're a liberal, guess what? I know a lot of liberals would not tolerate that crap. But anyhow, he's divorcing her. Good. So there you go, guys. I said this 19,000 times throughout the video, and I'll say it one more time just because you got to remember this. Do your homework. Pay attention to all what's going on, red flags, gut feelings, all that. You're allowed to. Nowadays, if I was a young guy, I would be hiring, especially how young girls behave nowadays, anything that would possibly seen as a future, I'd be hiring a PI to be going through line by line, every detail from like childhood up to adulthood, because you just never know nowadays. And even then, a periodic surveillance, if you will, would be in order. It is what it is. But of course, I and any guy out there would be labeled a bad guy for doing this and not trusting her, but this is the world we live in. So guys, there you go. Entertaining and a few lessons there. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. Catch you next time.